Chapter 7. Inner Conflict. The next morning, Team X got ready and started to proceed through the jungle zone. "There's a lot of beasts here," Brandy said as she checked the path ahead. "It seems as if someone has been through here already," added Anna. Kris and Duran looked around. "There it is," Duran said as he ran forward. Team X approached the ruins and began to explore them. They soon found a portal. "This portal leads to the industrial zone, we could find something there," informed Duran. Kris stared at the portal. "You guys go on ahead. I'm going to stay here and train my abilities more," Kris said as he motioned for Duran, Anna, and Brandy to continue. "I've seen that look in your eyes too many times. This is big. I'll take care of him, you have my word," said Duran as he looked at Kris. Duran, Anna, and Brandy walked through the portal to the industrial zone. Daniel, Angela, and Gabriel looked on from the bushes nearby. "Our plan is coming to fruition. Tanya is out training. Let's get to work," Gabriel said as he smirked. Both teams have finished their elemental training and have been set off to find the looking glass. Kris has left his team for reasons unknown, and it seems that his ability to see things that others cannot has played a part in his decision. But the burning question is, when will Gabriel, Daniel, and Angela execute their plan? We continue our story with Gabriel, Daniel, and Angela, who are searching for Tanya. "This is great." Kris has separated from his group, Angela said as she continued to walk forward. "We gave them a head start because we found that portal first." "I'm sure that Kris knows that," added Gabriel. "All we need is Tanya," Daniel said as they stopped. Daniel spotted Tanya. She had a sword in her hands and was cutting down trees with precision. "This is not good. She is getting better with her element really quick. She could become just as big of a threat as Kris," Gabriel whispered as he ducked down. A small dagger flew past Daniel and stuck into a nearby tree. "Who's there?" yelled Tanya. "It's just us, Tanya," Angela said as she stepped in front of Tanya. Tanya glared at them. "Are you guys ready to go to the industrial zone?" asked Tanya. "Not just yet, we have more training to do, all four of us," Gabriel responded. "As you can see, I have been training. What have you guys been doing?" "Looking for Kris?" inquired Tanya. "Tanya, you know he is their leader," Daniel cut in. "We keep him distracted, we can win this, no matter how slowly we move," added Angela. "So who is our leader then?" Tanya questioned. They all stood there looking at each other. Tanya laughed. "I like your idea, but you saw the look in Kris's eyes. He won't be easily distracted," remarked Tanya sarcastically. "So let's just stay here for the night, train, then relax," Gabriel said as he put his arm around Tanya's shoulder. Tanya nodded. "Okay, I'm going to go out and train somewhere. You guys stay sharp," Tanya said as she started to walk. Tanya walked away. "Follow her," boomed Gabriel. Daniel and Angela slowly followed after Tanya. "What should we do?" asked Angela. "We can't get too close to her. We need to find one of those fire beasts that we saw," suggested Angela. "Let's hurry back to Gabriel. For no one to know, we will have to make a quick escape to the industrial zone," lectured Daniel. Angela and Daniel went back to their camp. Meanwhile, Kris was somewhere near training. "Someone found that portal before we did," Kris said as he threw a flurry of punches. In a show of speed, Kris appeared and reappeared from tree to tree. "I will call that the darkness flash," Kris said as his fist glowed with a purple flame surrounding it. Kris smashed the branch he was on and landed on his feet below. "Tanya and company are still in this zone, and I'm going to find them," thought Kris. Kris continued down the open path. At Tanya and company's camp. "Brilliant idea, we can lead a beast over to Tanya's position. No doubt, Kris will come and save her," Gabriel agreed. "If we make a break to the industrial zone, she won't find out it was us, so stick to the plan," ordered Daniel. The three of them agreed, picked up camp and started to head for Tanya's position. Tanya is currently resting. "She's off guard. Throw the torch," ordered Gabriel. Daniel threw the lit torch and began to run. Gabriel, Daniel, and Angela ran away. Tanya stood up and looked around. The whole area surrounding Tanya was aflame. "Help!" yelled Tanya. A fire beast appeared and knocked Tanya to the ground. A purple light shined, and the ring of fire in the area turned into purple flames. Kris stepped in and got into his fighting stance. "Tanya, run," Kris ordered. Kris charged the fire beast, but it was ready as it evaded Kris's punch attempt. Purple flashes of light went around as Kris warped around attacking, but at the same time confusing the fire beast. Kris gathered darkness energy in his fighting stance as his fist became surrounded by a purple flame. The fire beast recovered and fired a massive flame directly at Kris. Kris screamed in pain as the blast was a direct hit. The fire beast slowly walked over to look at Kris. Kris wasn't moving. The sound of sword slashes echoed. The fire beast fell dead in pieces. "Kris," yelled Tanya. Tanya picked up Kris's motionless body and began to head for the ruins. "We have to get to the industrial zone. I'm sure your friends are there. Mine might be too," Tanya said as she laid Kris's body into the portal. Kris's body traveled to the industrial zone. "Kris, what happened to you?" screamed Anna. Tears rolled down Anna's cheeks as the wind began to blow harder. Tanya stepped out of the portal. "You did this," yelled Anna. Tanya stood there silent. "Why are you here?" Anna questioned. "Because I didn't do this, that's why," answered Tanya. Anna glared at Tanya. "Then who did?" asked Anna. "A fire beast. He is severely burned. He won't make it unless we get somewhere safe," Tanya advised. Anna and Tanya carried Kris back to Team X's camp. Tanya tells them all what happened. "So where is your team? Weren't they in the jungle zone?" inquired Brandy. "They were, and we did find that portal first, but they all insisted on staying there," responded Tanya. "Why would they risk falling behind?" Anna speculated. "If I knew that I would tell you," responded Tanya. A bolt of electricity flew by out of nowhere. Duran raised a wall from the ground and neutralized it. "Come out, Gabriel," yelled Duran. Gabriel, Daniel, and Angela walked into Team X's camp. Angela used her abilities to uproot a tree that promptly flew toward Anna. As Anna's aura shined and the tree blew away, Gabriel, Daniel, and Angela fell to the ground. Tanya formed a machete in her hand. "What the hell are you guys doing? Can't you see that Kris is laying here injured?" Tanya yelled. Darren and Iria appeared. "This stops now," ordered Darren. "This does not end your search," boomed Iria. "Are you joking?" "Kris is dying over here," protested Duran. "We understand how you feel, and what happened to him, but I know that he wouldn't want you to quit," lectured Darren. "He's right," agreed Brandy. Iria smiled. "We will take care of him, he will be better before you know it, and we will be training him," Iria said as she lifted an unconscious Kris. "Take heed to this incident. The beasts in this universe are not to be taken lightly. Use your abilities wisely. I never said that I would protect you from death," Darren said as he, Iria, and Kris disappeared. "Now, I'm mad. If I find out that any of you three were involved in that, I'm going to kill you myself," Duran said boldly. "Well, we were not. We moved on to the industrial zone when we couldn't find Tanya. We have our camp waiting, so we will be leaving now," responded Gabriel. "Come on, Tanya," yelled Daniel. Tanya and Anna stood there looking into each other's eyes. "Good luck out here," said Tanya. "You too," Anna responded. Tanya walked away. "They had something to do with that," declared Duran. "I get that feeling too, but not with Tanya. I believe her. She had nothing to do with what happened to him," Anna said softly. "How can we be so sure about that?" asked Brandy. "Easy, she brought him here, and she wasn't with her group. She doesn't even seem like a part of their group anymore," answered Anna. Duran agreed. "I have seen some weird behavior from Gabriel lately. First Gabriel left them behind on the way to the ancient zone, then Tanya is separate from them," lectured Duran. "Well, Tanya seems to have a bit of a grasp on her element, they might be threatened by her," Brandy added. "Well, the best part is this isn't our problem, we should just let their inner conflict destroy them slowly," Duran said as he smirked. At Tanya and company's camp. "Why were you with them?" asked Daniel. Tanya started. "Why were you with him?" Angela interrupted. "He saved my life, I just took him to them," Tanya explained. Gabriel smiled. Tanya was just merely playing her part. Kris got injured, and she did her civil duty by bringing him back to his friends, Gabriel said calmly. I can't believe they accused you of doing that to him, Daniel said as he got closer to Tanya. They should pay for that too, yelled Angela. Tanya stepped away from Daniel. Gabriel, Daniel, and Angela looked at Tanya in shock. No, said Tanya. No what? Daniel asked. Tanya's aura began to shine. Knives formed in Tanya's hands. No more of this, vendetta against Kris's group. Where were you guys when I needed you? The guy who I've considered my enemy all of this time showed up first, and he saved my life, boomed Tanya. So what? He's had a boner for you since last year and he never even got close to you, Daniel started. And now he saves you once and he's the good guy now, added Angela. Tanya put a knife to Angela's throat. You don't know anything, Tanya said as she pushed Angela to the ground. Tanya called metal energy. She formed shurikens and began to throw them at glass windows on the surrounding buildings. You guys, want to see how good my aim is? I'll start with Angela, Tanya taunted. Calm down, Tanya, yelled Gabriel. Tanya got into her fighting stance. I'm going to go think. Don't follow me or try to come to get me. I'll be back when I'm ready, Tanya said as she turned around. Tanya walked away. Meanwhile, Team X, minus Kris of course, is now heading through the industrial zone. I feel like something is wrong, Anna said as she stopped. What is it, Anna? Asked Duran as he looked at Anna. Brandy looked around. You guys take some sort of cover, Anna said as an aura began to shine around her. Brandy and Duran ran to take cover. The wind began to blow harder until a group of androids was blown right in front of them. So we were being followed, Brandy said as she got into her fighting stance. The sentinels began to stand up. Brandy stepped forward and tossed flames at the sentinels. I got one for you, said Duran as his aura shined. Duran drew the ground up in the form of a wall. Before Duran could move it, a strong gust of wind moved it and crushed the sentinel androids. Nice one, Anna, congratulated Brandy. We can use our abilities as a team if we bring them together correctly, Duran suggested as he high-fived and hugged Anna. Let's get moving, guys, and let's win this thing, for Kris, said Anna excitedly. For Kris, they all yelled. Meanwhile, in a place unknown, Darren stepped into the room. You have done a good job on him, Iria, Darren said as he looked at Kris's sleeping body. Iria smiled. Well, one good thing is I can make him see whatever I want him to see in his dreams, Iria responded. What, like sandy beaches and sunny days? Asked Darren. Iria shook her head. I've been making his dreams show that he has been with his friends on their adventure, Iria replied. I see, we need to have plans for our adventurers. Since Kris's injury, they all seem to have forgotten why they are here, lectured Darren. Already taken care of, since Tanya seems to have run off on her own, we will test her first, Iria said as she stood up from her chair. Outstanding, get Kris ready, he is going on a journey to the Andiron Holy Land, to the Darkness Shrine, to make his abilities greater, Darren said as he disappeared. We jump back to Tanya, who at this point is wandering through the industrial zone. They would not have treated me like that unless they had something to do with what happened to Kris, thought Tanya as she continued to walk forward. She wandered around for about another hour until she began to hear strange noises. Now what could that be? Tanya asked herself. As she continued to look around, she spotted a man cornering a young woman in a nearby building. Hey you, get your hands off of her, yelled Tanya. The man turned around and let the young woman be. The man stepped in front of Tanya. Why were you doing that to her? Tanya questioned. The man simply did not answer as his eyes turned sentinel red. I see, so that's why you didn't answer. Finally something I can test my abilities on, Tanya said sarcastically. The sentinel made a strange noise, and the woman came to his side. You two are both those sentinel things that Iria was talking about. You baited me into coming over here, Tanya said as she got into her fighting stance. The female sentinel rushed Tanya and tried to take Tanya down. Tanya countered and slammed the female sentinel to the ground. The male sentinel quickly kicked Tanya to the ground. Tanya rolled away as her aura started to grow. Okay, you two, enough fun and games, yelled Tanya. Tanya began calling metal. Tanya formed two metal gauntlets around her fists. As Tanya banged her fists together, pink sparks flew from the gauntlets. Tanya rushed at the female sentinel and hit it with a quick three-punch combo, flooring it and making it short-circuit. The male sentinel attacked Tanya, but she was ready and countered with a quick kick and a double-fisted shot, making the male sentinel fall to the ground and explode. Tanya walked over to the female sentinel, which was still there. Short-circuiting, Tanya stomped on the head of the female sentinel, destroying it. Those things were a pain, Tanya said to herself. Tanya continued through the industrial zone. I should go back to them, maybe they can explain to me what happened, said Tanya as she turned around. We now turn our attention back to Team X. Okay, so we are about to enter the outskirts of the industrial zone, Duran informed. The clue that we got from those sentinels says, from nowhere come memories, and from memories the next path will open, said Anna. Don't know what that means, but I can't help but wonder what Darren and Iria are doing with Kris, Brandy responded. I still want to know if Gabriel had anything to do with what happened. If he was involved, I owe him a beating, Duran said as he smiled. Anna sighed. I just hope that they bring him back to us. I really miss him. He should be here with us right now, Anna said solemnly. Brandy came over to Anna to comfort her. At that very moment a portal appeared in front of Team X. This must be our ticket to the forest zone and the looking glass. Let's go, Duran said as he jumped through the portal. Anna and Brandy jumped through the portal as well. So now Team X has taken the lead as they head to the forest zone, the apparent home of the looking glass. Meanwhile, in a place unknown. You're awake now, said Iria. Kris sat up and looked around. Where am I? Kris asked. Iria looked at him. Don't worry about that right now, Iria answered. Where are my friends? I just had a dream that I left them, Kris yelled. Simmer down, you've been away from them for 2 days now. I made you dream that you were with them, Iria said as she sat down in a chair. So why am I here? Asked Kris. Darren walked into the room. That's a good question, Darren answered. Myself and Darren have brought you here to intensify your training, added Iria. You will journey to the Darkness Shrine in the Andiron Holy Land. There you will find yourself and your abilities, Darren lectured. The Darkness style is stealthy and requires the user to commit acts, which are considered niche even for any other elemental style standards. Furthermore, the Darkness style is full of the unknown which those outside it will not dare to even look at, much less venture into. Iria finished. I get it, so I didn't use my abilities efficiently so that I could win, Kris said as he sat up in the bed. Correct, in the Holy Land, we will teach you far more than you could have imagined. You wanted to become the best fighter in the universes? We are going to help, Darren assured as he looked at him. I'm in, Kris said as he stood up. Darren and Iria smiled. Now that Team X has left the industrial zone, Angela, Daniel, and Gabriel are still at their camp, pondering their future. Damn it, yelled Daniel. I can't believe that didn't kill him, added Angela. Not to mention that Iria and Darren are taking care of him as we speak, Gabriel lectured. Tanya flipped out and left, and who knows where Team X is now. We got problems right now, Angela said as she stood up. Look, even though we didn't get him killed, Kris is gone. That still means that Team X is one person short, Daniel lectured. A static aura once again surrounded Gabriel. I say we start moving, without Tanya. If she wants to run off on her own, then let her, Gabriel said as he charged his aura. I have heard enough, yelled Tanya. Tanya, yelled Angela. Yes, it's me, Tanya said as she crossed her arms. How long have you been here? Asked Daniel. Long enough to hear you guys complaining. So it was you guys who set up Kris, boomed Tanya. Gabriel stepped forward. We did what we had to do, yelled Gabriel. At the cost of someone's life? Asked Tanya. He's not even dead, Angela shot back. And again, Darren and Iria are taking care of him, added Daniel. Tanya glared at Gabriel, Daniel, and Angela. I can't believe that you guys used me to get Kris killed, Tanya yelled. You aren't hurt, we didn't use you to do anything, although you did take him back to them. You played your part, responded Daniel. Gabriel stepped in between Daniel and Tanya. Look, all this arguing over the last few days has gotten us nowhere, Gabriel interrupted. Tanya laughed. And what do you think Team X is doing right now? Asked Tanya, sarcastically. Gabriel, Daniel, and Angela stood there silent. You guys must think that they are just sitting around missing Kris. Well, you're wrong, they are moving on and trying to win this thing for their friend, lectured Tanya. Who cares about Kris? Asked Gabriel. Good point, but what about me? You do know, I could have been hurt if Kris didn't show up though, right? Tanya asked. Yes, but you are fine. I say we just put this all behind us and move on to the forest zone, suggested Daniel. I will lead you three into the forest zone, only because I'm sure that Team X is already there, but, started Tanya. But what? Asked Angela. When you three get into the forest zone, you will be free to search for the looking glass, but without me, boomed Tanya. I don't get it, Gabriel responded. I will get you guys back for using me, just to kill Kris, after we get to the forest zone. We go our separate ways, let's go, Tanya ordered as she started to walk away. Gabriel, Daniel, and Angela followed. Along the way, Angela and Daniel attempt to convince Tanya to stay with them and finish the challenge. Tanya, please reconsider what you are about to do, pleaded Angela. Tanya continued walking but did not look at her. You will be alone out there, my love, added Daniel. Tanya stopped. Something inside of me wanted to believe that what you guys did was all Gabriel's idea, but I knew that not even he would not stoop so low, Tanya responded. Do I need to remind you that there are no rules in this challenge? Asked Daniel. No, you don't. We are a team, but there are no rules specifying that we must pursue the looking glass together, answered Tanya. Tanya started to continue walking, but Angela stepped in front of her. So you are going to join Kris's team? Angela asked as she stood in front of Tanya. Of course not, these events don't change how I feel about Kris or his friends, responded Tanya. Tanya started walking. We can still win this, Daniel said while trying to keep up with Tanya. You are right, we can, but we won't if you two continue to try to get me to stay with you. There is nothing that you two can say to change my mind, Tanya shot back. Gabriel, who was walking ahead, finally involved himself in the conversation. She has her mind made up. If she wants to wander the Drasil universe on her own, let her, suggested Gabriel. Daniel and Angela reluctantly agreed. Fine, but we need to rest, added Angela. Very well, we are close enough to the portal, we will leave at first light tomorrow, ordered Tanya. Tanya and company set up their camp and rested for the night. When the sun rose, Tanya woke up her teammates so that she could lead them to the forest zone's portal. Meanwhile, Kris has arrived in the Andiron Holy Land. We have arrived, announced Iria. I cannot say that what happened to you in the Drasil universe was supposed to happen, but this training would have taken place either way, Darren declared. What's happening to them? Kris asked. Your friends are fine, but Tanya and company are a different story, answered Darren. Darren and Iria made eye contact and nodded. Remember when I told you that your alternate self and alternate Tanya had consensual relations? Questioned Iria. I do, Kris answered. Gabriel's behavior is the result of that relationship you created, lectured Darren. He's turning against them, Iria added. Kris reacted but stood ready to continue to listen. We won't let you watch your friends anymore, this adventure is their own, but we will let you see what happens when a universal traveler disrupts the flow of the universes, boomed Darren. It looked as if a large television screen was in the sky. That's Tanya, Kris pointed out. Pay attention, and remember for the next time you travel to the Andiron universe, lectured Darren. Although things are not the same there, things are the way that they are for a reason, Iria continued. Any relationships involved cannot be affected while the alternate soul is present in the Andiron universe, boomed Darren. Darren stood face to face with Kris wearing a serious look on his face. You inviting alternate Tanya to your alternate's basketball game and stating that I won't have to worry about that gave alternate Tanya the green light to pursue alternate Kris, which she did and very aggressively, enough to make yourself and alternate Tanya share roles as opposites concerning your native universes, which is not the intent of the universes, exclaimed Darren. We will explain the intent of the universes very soon, but for now I think you should take a seat, this may shock you, Iria said. Darren motioned to the sky as Kris looked up, back in the industrial zone. All right, we're here, yelled Tanya. Last chance, Angela said as she pointed at the portal. Daniel stepped forward. I love you, I'm begging you to please reconsider what you are doing. This place is dangerous, begged Daniel. Tanya kissed Daniel. Maybe I didn't make myself clear, Tanya yelled. As Daniel was staring at Tanya, she pushed him through the portal to the forest zone. Tanya formed knives in her hands. I don't want to have to hurt you, Angela, just go on ahead, and remain where you are until Gabriel arrives, ordered Tanya. Angela glared at Tanya, but jumped through the portal to the forest zone. Gabriel turned away to walk through the portal. I need to talk to you before you leave, Tanya exclaimed. Gabriel looked at Tanya. Very well, I will listen for old time's sake, responded Gabriel. What you did will never make you better than Kris, but I know that deep down inside you wanted to compete against him at the end of this, Tanya said as she stared at Gabriel. Gabriel stood silent but was listening as he nodded in agreement. Now that Kris is out of this thing, it's not your fight anymore. Your fight was broken up, mine was continued. I have unfinished business, the fight for the looking glass is mine, Tanya boldly declared. Gabriel laughed. What's so funny? Asked Tanya. Dear Tanya, why does everything have to be about you? Gabriel asked, while still visibly laughing. It's not just about me, responded Tanya. Exactly, boomed Gabriel. Tanya and Gabriel stood face to face staring at each other. Well, I think it's time that we went our separate ways, Tanya suggested. Tanya turned toward the portal to the forest zone. Tanya, no matter what happens, you will always have a place in my heart, said Gabriel, solemnly. Tanya and Gabriel hugged each other. Gabriel's static aura began to charge. With that, Gabriel grabbed Tanya and shocked her with his electric grip. Tanya fell to the ground unconscious. I meant everything that I said, but I couldn't let you leave here before me, Gabriel said as he stood over Tanya. I can't risk you getting to Angela and Daniel. I will best Kris if he's here or not. After this, you will do best staying out of my way, said Gabriel softly. As Gabriel's static aura began to crackle and pop, he laughed as he walked through the portal to the forest zone. With the inner conflict between Tanya and company seemingly resolved, Team X minus Kris has jumped ahead to the forest zone. Despite Tanya and Gabriel having a short discussion and appearing to reconcile, Gabriel shocked Tanya literally, and left her laying at the portal in the industrial zone. Kris has now arrived in the Andiron Holy Land. What skills will our temporarily fallen hero learn there? Which of the original 8 will fight to obtain the looking glass? Now entering the forest zone, both teams will have to encounter memories of their past. Which memories will be unlocked here, and which 4-person or 3-person team will become the brand new defenders of the Andiron universe? All these questions and more will be answered in the finale of the Drasil Universe Saga of Chaotic Universe. End of Chapter 7.